Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast. My name is Sean Hardy, and I am the GM for our show here, but before we get too far into it, let's let the cast introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Kate Pizarchik-Johnson, and I play Nori.
I'm Dan Johnson, and I play Cass.
I'm Julie Perez, and I play Frog.
Nice. So in our last episode, you all were kind of off on your own journeys of self-discovery. Cass at home, building up a homestead, meeting people that he knew the families of, or people he knew himself. Nori in the dream world, trying to see what life would have been like with her brother growing up alongside her, and Frog off in Mary's Rise, confronting ghosts, as Frog does. All of you had a day. Some of you a good day. Before meeting back up and heading back, we join you all now as Nori and Frog reunite with Cass back at the homestead, but unlike when you left, and it was just nobody there, all the lights off, even though the sun is setting, there's a whole community of people here helping Cass build the walls, clean the farm, clean out the fields, doing a lot of stuff.
Having come up to Cass's home, Nori will be like, "Wow, this looks great!" And then see if I can spot Cass from the outside, if people are actively working, or are we arriving too late for them to still be working
People
for
are
the day?
actively working, but Cass is inside doing some floorboard stuff, so you wouldn't see Cass on the outside.
Okay. Nori will run up, knock on the door, and say, "Cass, this looks so cool!" as she's like pounding on the door.
Yeah, Frog, what are you doing?
Frog would run up and not knock on the door and just go open it and then look for Frog King in there and be like, "Did you do all this by yourself, Frog King?"
Yeah, so Cass, you hear the door open after a loud scream. Beirut next to you goes, "Those the friends you're talking about? That's the one that you've been traveling with?"
Yep. Yeah, those are them. That's for sure. More interested in a talking frog.
Yeah, they seem a little high caliber for your end. I don't think I've ever seen you have half that excitement in your entire life.
And that has not changed since I've talked to you last. They definitely make up for it, but they're good people. So, and I'll motion to them to come in. Also, looking at Frog, being like, you may want to go check outside. Last time I checked, Archimedes was on the roof supervising the repair of everything. So, may want to go take a quick gander.
Okay. Frog will be like, "I guess," and then walk outside and look on the roof, kind of shouting like, "Archimedes!"
Yeah. Do you have any way of getting up there, or are you just kind of calling for him?
Just calling for him, like circling the house.
Nice. And Nori, are you still going in?
Oh, you bet your bottom dollar I am.
Nice. Then you go in and you find Cass and a random guy just building up floors together.
Wow! Cass, this is so cool! Ooh, you have a friend. Hi, I'm Nori. What's your name?
Hey, I'm Beirut, and I heard that Cass had new friends, but he didn't mention that they're like you. Nice to meet you.
I sensed some inflection in that. I will have to ask you some more questions later, but it's nice to meet you as well.
And as
she's trying to poison you, if it helps.
He what?
He said that he tried to poison you, and that's why he keeps cooking.
Oh. Yeah, that's on par for Cass. And then I'm gonna take out my notebook and write, "Cass? Poison? Question mark?"
And as soon as she pulls out her notebook, I'm just gonna go up to him and be like, "She does that. Don't worry about it. It doesn't mean anything. Honestly, if you open it, it really just looks like gibberish more than an actual notebook."
I'm not concerned, because I'm not the one that has to stay with her for a while.
Very true. And anyway, as Frog goes out and Nori sort of starts to get comfortable, At this point, like you guys would walk into the floor being repaired, like not pristine by any means, but it's functional. The whole house is now at least functional. Like everything is working to a certain extent. And Cass will just look specifically at Nori since Frog is still trying to find her best friend in the whole world. And be like, there's at least one room for you guys in the back if you would like to.
Oh, cool. That sounds great. Thanks, Cass. Nori will try and go find a little space and set up her pine cones.
As all that's happening, Frog will continue to be outside looking for Archimedes. Is there anyone that's still here, working outside the house?
Yeah, the area around you has been mostly finished up. Like the siding is repaired. It's not clean. It's very much the interior. It's now passable, but it's not perfect. So a lot of it would be out now at the stone wall that branches off the area, or out by the fields, weeding them for the first time in years, doing more of the groundwork away from the house. There are still people here. They're just not in the immediate vicinity like they would have been earlier in the day.
Okay. Frog will shout out at two of the boys or men, teenagers who are working at the stone fence and be like, "Hey, I need some help over here." And then we'll find a piece of plywood type thing to stand on, and we'll ask them to throw her up onto the roof.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't take much effort. There's fresh cut wood and everything around.
Yeah.
And by throw, you mean you stand on the plinth and they lift it together, or just straight up throw you?
They lift it together and give me a boost, like a little jerk to throw me up. Considering I'm only 40 pounds, I would think they could do it.
Okay. Yeah, make me a dexterity saving throw to see how well you land.
Okay.
Because these are just common people that don't have experience throwing people in the air, and you can get tossed easily.
Right.
It's gonna if you beat a 10, you will land on the roof. If you beat a 15, you'll land on the roof safely.
Dexterity saving throw is +2, and nat 20 +2.
Okay, yeah. Just tell us the scene. What happens?
Frog stands on the little piece of plywood with her knees slightly bent and hands in fists in front of her, and waits for them to lift it. And as they lift it, they give it a swift lift up, and she does a somersault in the air and lands on her feet, sticks the landing hands up, and goes, "Archimedes!"
Oh, that was a lovely jump, Miss Frog. It was almost as good as jumps that I could do. Did you know that I learned to clean today?
Wow, what did you clean?
The entire house all by myself.
Frog, thinking back to what the house looked like when she walked in, is gonna go, "Oh, okay." Knowing that he probably did not do all of that by himself.
I was told to use this rag that Mr. Cass attached to my feet, and then to jump around, and then he left for several hours, and I got very tired, and I took a nap. And then today, he let me come outside to eat bugs and supervise. But yesterday, I cleaned the entire house all by myself.
That's good. I'm sure you were an expert supervisor. But if you come down into the house with us, Nori and I brought you back a special surprise.
Okay, and he's just gonna jump off the roof.
Okay, now I need to figure out how I'm gonna get down. Okay, I'm assuming we have some sort of tarp or something lying around, so I will call back to the exact same teen boys that helped me before. I will say, "Hello, I need your help again." And they will come back, and I will say, "Okay, hold that tarp, and I'm gonna fall down onto it, but on my back, so that I don't break my leggies." Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna make strength checks for both of them to see if they can hold the tension of the tarp as you land.
Okay.
One got a 5 and one got a 9. I'm leaving this in your hands.
Okay.
What happened?
What am I? Do I need to roll anything?
I'm leaving it in your hands if you think you get hurt from that or if you think it's just bad.
Okay, well, I think even if they drop me after I land on it a bit, I don't think it would be that bad because I'm so light. So I'm gonna say when I fall, like, it doesn't hurt me, but I, like, roll into mud, and now
Okay.
I'm all muddy and gross.
Yeah. Now he goes, I can clean you if you want to be cleaned.
Oh. That's okay. I'm due for a shower anyway, a bath. So I'll just go do that after we give you your gift.
Oh, okay, but I have been told I am the world's best cleaning frog, and I could clean you.
I'm sure you could, but it's okay because I need a bath anyway.
Yeah. So then, Cass and Nori, you see, covered in mud, Frog walk into your freshly laid floors.
Prestidigitation instantly. Just like, nope, 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 nope. I've spent the past 2 days trying to get this place looking decent, to say the least. I can't have Dirty Frog walking in, surprisingly, not talking about you, Archimedes, talking about other Frog.
I offered to clean her, and she said no thank you.
And I think that was a sensible choice, because I would also turn that down. Unfortunately, Frog, this is the best option, because I forgot to tell you, we don't really have a shower or a bath. So I can prestidigitation you clean or not.
Frog, after hearing this very unfortunate information, will turn towards Archimedes, slump down, and say, "Fine." Just to see what's gonna happen and how he does this.
He's got 2 rags on his front feet, and then a rag like on his tongue, and he just like keeps slapping you with the tongue rag, and then like tries to like rub things out, and it's more like just rubbing the dirt into your clothes. Like the mud is getting deep, and he's like, "Oh, you are so hard to clean. You are the problem here. You should wear more clean clothes."
Okay, thanks, Archimedes. And then we'll turn towards Cass and be like, "Can you fix this, please?"
And just turn and cast it on her as I'm still trying to like fix up the rest of the floorboards, like just getting them like in place as Beirut's just laughing at this point,
Yeah.
like seeing just the disarray of like Cass trying to be very organized and precise, and Nori comes in just pitter-patting around like in her small stature. Frog has successfully jumped on the roof, fell in a puddle of mud, and come in with a talking frog in a matter of 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got a interesting life you're leading these days, Cass.
Yeah, you could say that. And at this point, like, Cass is not as like dirty as the day before where he was cutting trees, but Cass is looking pretty grody. Like he's not looking great by any means. So with that, probably would start like wrapping up the cleaning, like sort of just missing everybody, like taking a look at the wall, seeing that it's roughly back together, not perfect yet. And the only thing before everyone leaves, Cass would just make sure to get the mending stones back from the 2 teens that he sort of let them borrow.
Yeah, and you're able to get them back. And yeah, like, nothing's done, but everything is close enough to done that, like, either another day of everyone coming back or just, like, a couple days of the 3 of you finishing it off with or without Beirut's help will get it finished up. But they're dismissed, and the place is functional.
Perfect. And then with that, sort of seeing that we still have the 3 of us and Beirut here, Cass will have just a quick glance towards like the kitchen and then be like audibly, "No, I'm not going to do that to them," and be like, "Why don't we go into town and get some food?"
Yeah, you think we could, like, I don't know, dump a bucket of water on half of you before I get seen in public with you all?
I mean,
We could also just run into
yeah,
it.
yeah, probably not a bad idea. I mean, does anyone have anything that can sort of get water here?
I will cast create water
Mhm.
and point it in the area of where Cass is kind of pointing to, so I can just dump it on a bunch of people.
And are you doing this inside or outside?
Definitely outside.
Good plan.
Cass was about to tackle you outside of the door.
Yeah, then you
No.
all go outside, and Nori's able to just like create a cube of water that just kind of dumps on all of you. And it removes a lot of the sweat and a lot of the grime and a lot of the mud. It doesn't dry. It's night. It's late fall. The wind's cold, but you're clean.
Perfect. So, where are we going to eat? Or to drink? Or to do both? Oh my gosh, you think they have coffee? Actually, Cass, did I show you? I got this 5-pound bag of coffee. Did you know that in the dream world, you can just like create things and they appear? I also got these 2 books.
How tight are you holding that coffee?
How tight am I holding the coffee bag?
Yeah.
I'm not an idiot. Of course I'm holding it tightly around you. Because you've just been so sassy along with your new friend in Beirut.
I'm sorry, what have I done to sass you in any capacity?
This is completely normal. Just, it's fine.
Beirut,
This is
you're
her
gonna
normal.
get like a whole page in my notebook. I'm so excited to get to know you more.
I was
Cass has
coming
a
at you
friend.
with like a friend energy where I made fun of him to show that we're both friends, and then you're coming at me with that. And are you just bad at people?
Yes.
I'm
Okay,
not
cool.
bad at people. I have a lot of friends over in the Fae realm. Thank you very much.
Looks to Frog. Is she bad at people?
Yeah, she is. But anyway, Cass, I brought something for you. And she's gonna pull out a recipe book from her bag, that after she had Nori make up the crown, she kind of wanted to try for herself, with something with less of a stake in it. So she was like, I could bring Cass a present. So she came up with that. So she'll take it out and hand it to you. And it is a recipe book of like nice homemade meals.
Is this meant as a joke, or are you being serious?
I'm being serious. It had to be
Okay,
as
'cause
nice.
You're smiling like it's a joke. I'm not 100% sure here.
It's not a joke. 'Cause Frog King got a really nice present, and Nori got coffee beans, which is pretty exciting for her. And you had to get something nice, so it is nice.
Well,
I'm getting a present.
I'm getting a present.
Well, you said Nora gets coffee and Frog King gets present, and Frog King has not gotten present.
You have to wait your turn, Frog King.
Well, you said has gotten, which implies I should have my present already, and I wanted to make sure I didn't miss.
at this
Patience
point,
is a
Cass has a
virtue.
pipe lit in the corner of the room, just like waiting for all of this banter to be done and be like, he has a point. You did say has a present.
The children were teaching me about proper grammar, and you used a past tense, which implies it should have been done.
Frog, being super annoyed by this, is gonna be like, if you keep acting like this, I'm not gonna give you your present.
Wow. Maybe in 3 days, when I'm not bound to you, I'll bound away.
No. Frog, after hearing that, is gonna be like, I take it back, and
Okay.
then pull out the crown that they made for him. And we'll place it very gently on his head.
I am once again the king of all frogs. And he just bounds.
Nori is going to give him a golf clap and say, yes, Frog King, you look Amazing! I'm so glad that all of the etching came out how we wanted it to.
I'm glad that it tells the story of how I am better than all of the Shadow Cats. Because it was very easy to single-handedly defeat the Shadow Cats.
Correct.
And I am excited to see what Cass makes for breakfast next time. Now that we know he's trying to poison Nori, we could think it as different. But also, if now Miss Frog teaches him to cook, he can make us have all the good things.
It's true.
True. So, what is there to eat in this restaurant? This brewery? This place? This bar?
You're
What
taken
is
to
there?
like very similar to the bar that Cass met you in, like that first night, where it's got like burgers, it's got wolf steaks, it's got like just an assortment of foods that are all from the area, but instead of like a lot of like red meats, it's a lot of like seafoods and stuff because that's what's in the area. And then it's got a whole drink menu. It still has like some like beef products and pork products and stuff, but it's just not going to have like the nice stuff from like the wildlands down by where you all started.
Nori will. I will order. A small slab of some fancy fish
Mhm.
and a bottle of wine for the table, or not a keg. What is it called?
A
As you
carafe?
can a what?
A carafe?
No, what? A growler. What? I don't know. Do people want to drink beer? Do they want to drink wine?
Didn't
What?
realize we had microbreweries. And
What, you want me to say I'll order a keg for them? Okay, fine. Before I order the bottle of wine, I will take the inventory of the table. Who would like what? Would anyone like wine? Would anyone like beer? What are we feeling tonight?
as she's like trying to take inventory, I'm gonna look at Beirut and be like, just don't be. She eats a lot. Like, for someone her size, an absurd amount. Like, do not be surprised. I will have wine.
You will have wine?
Sure.
Cassius, thank you so much for letting me know.
Cassius. Okay, thank you for that.
I'll take a wine if Cassius is having wine.
Perfect. Okay,
The frog will have wine as well. And Archimedes, do you want anything?
Can I have frog wine?
Sure. Of course, we'll make you some frog wine.
And frog wine is just wine in a tiny cup for a frog.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, clarifying question: can Frog King actually have wine, or is it gonna hurt him?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen him eat a lot of weird shit.
Maybe I'll. Frog King, how do you feel about some fancy milk?
Is it also made of berries?
I could get you some fruit juice.
I would enjoy juice. I've had juice
Oh.
and it was quite tasty.
Okay, and so I'll ask the waiter, can I have a bottle of wine and some wine glasses, and then a very nice cup for Frog King, Archimedes, filled with your finest, emphasis on finest, fruit juice in this establishment, please?
Yeah, and you want food too, or what else?
Yeah, and then I'll tell him what I was planning on eating.
Yeah, and all of you put your orders in, and after a couple of minutes, the wine is brought out. A few minutes later, the food comes. What would you all be doing? A reminder to especially Nort, you're all in public. But what would you be doing as we all sit to dinner together?
Oh, as soon as the waiter leaves, Cass is going to like pull Nori and Frog to the middle of the table and be like, guys, I just want you to know how absolutely ridiculous how Archimedes looks right now. That crown, if it is real, it costs more money than this town probably has. Like, we probably should put that in the bag for right now before somebody tries to kill us. Not that anyone here would actually try to kill us, but like taste-wise, probably not our best choice.
Well, according to you, Cass, I'm sorry. Apparently you're trying to poison me.
Did you guys have like a bad 2 days? Like you guys came back from I don't know where you went, and you are just sass galore here. Frog, thank you. I'm not so much referring to you. You gave me a book, so I do appreciate that. But other people have been gone for like 2 days and came back like they had to deal with their like estranged husband again for some reason.
All right, Mr. Cassius. Didn't realize someone needed to be so sassy and try and poison me? God. Okay.
Just want to point out, if I was trying, I would have been successful. I wasn't trying.
Yeah, okay. And then Nori is just gonna eat her food in the corner and take out her journal and try and subtly take notes on the conversation.
And do you put the crown away, or does the crown stay on Archimedes?
I'll leave that up to the group.
I don't have the bag. You have the bag.
Oh, if you hand it to me, I'll put it away.
Frog, would you try to convince him to just put the crown away for the time being?
I would ask Archimedes if I can put the crown away, but like do it as I'm picking it up off of his head, and depending on if he pulls it back on or like whatever, then I'll make my choice then. So yes, Frog will ask Archimedes, can I put this away, as she's like grabbing it.
I don't want to part with my crown after being so closely reunited with it, but I do believe Cass has a good point about how I've been supervising these people for several days now, and I have become their leader, and I think it would be quite bad of an image problem for their de facto leader to then have a crown. And so I see the sense in what he's saying about why we should not instill a monarchy so quickly in this town, and you can hide the crown for a few hours. That's okay.
And seeing his understanding, Cass will just, as the crown's coming off his head, will cast prestidigitation and just make like a nice, not super luxurious, but like velvet like cape for him to wear at the dinner table in lieu of his very expensive crown.
Yeah, like this crown with all the rubies and shit embedded probably costs like 5,000 gold. Like, yeah. Yeah, and dinner comes, Frog King's crown goes away. Is there anything you would all want to bring up first, or are you just kind of like gonna sit until someone says something first?
So, sort of starting off, I would officially introduce Beirut to Nori and Frog, since we are officially like sitting down and actually have time to talk in a somewhat private setting. Introduce them to him and explain that we've been friends for most of my life, and he's still in the area sort of overseeing the renovations of the town unofficially.
I'm the best person Cass has ever met, and the best person he ever will meet, and you're lucky to be second to third.
And does Cass notice anything from Frog or Nori when he says that?
Yes, Frog will look at him with like a surprised face a little bit, and then be like furrowing her eyebrows like, okay.
At me or him?
Stealth check
At
to
him.
hide that.
At him. Okay, stealth check.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm not necessarily trying to hide it, but stealthy. Am I stealthy? No. 14.
Okay. It's easy to clock. Like, if you're not looking for it, you don't see it, but if you're looking, it's not hard to spot.
Okay.
Nori will just scoff and continue writing in her journal.
Yeah, Cass, you get visible reactions from both of them.
Perfect. And I'm assuming with Nori being more flustered than normal, she's going to be drinking her wine a little bit quicker, and Cass is just going to very subtly just be refilling it, just to be like, all right, we'll get her to calm down one way or another.
Oh. That's fun. Is this typically what you all do?
Nori will look at Cass as he's trying to pour more wine into her cup and say, "No, thank you. I'm sipping slowly tonight." And Nori will continue to quietly listen to the conversations and write down what she hears.
And anytime that like there's a pause, Beirut will ask like you or Frog, like your questions, like what you all have been up to, like what your life stories are. Like no one's really been around coming in and out. And so the fact that Cass brought two people you trust home is exciting. But if you don't, the same thing where he wasn't pressing earlier. If you don't want to answer, he's not going to press. But he is interested to see who the two of you are.
Nori would gladly answer any question that he has, in addition to asking how they met as children.
Well, he grew up like right down the road, Nori, and also he was like one of the only people in the village at that time that was pretty close to my age. Everyone was either a lot younger or a lot older in terms of like 5 years plus or minus here.
Beirut, what is your favorite memory of Cass?
That's a fun one. I mean, like favorite as in like the one I look back on fondly when I need to remember my friend that left for a couple years understandably, or favorite as in the one I could tell people and they'll never let him live it down.
Oh, that last one for sure.
And Cass just gonna shoot a look at him, be like, calm yourself.
Yeah, I like how Cass is always kind and gentle with people and very helpful to everyone in need.
Nori's gonna cast Zone of Truth.
Okay. Hey, it's what, a charisma saving throw for Zone of Truth?
Charisma saving throw of 16.
Okay. Everyone make your charisma saves. Ooh, he has a pretty decent charisma, but he got a 5. So, Beirut, you can tell it's under the spell.
18 for Frog.
I got an at 20.
Okay, yeah, so the only one affected is the one that's not used to traveling with Nori. Yeah.
Can you tell me one more time what's your favorite memory, truthfully, that you have with Cass?
Yeah, based on the look I'm getting from my dear friend, I feel like telling you that will hinder that relationship and would not be in my best interest.
Wow, Cass. Wow, way to just ruin the fun.
Yep. Fun. At Cass's expense, of course. Yes. Anyway, and I feel like that's a little bit I feel like that's enough about me and Beirut. He's new to the group, let's say. And why don't you guys tell us what you guys did for the past 2+ days?
And also, Kate, are you leaving the spell up, or is Nori dropping it after that?
It's only up for 10 minutes. I'll leave it up.
Okay, so you leave a spell with a higher radius than just one table, up in a public tavern, as people are walking and coming and going through the zone, and you can just feel a bunch of looks. One, as you're feeling people failing the save all over the place, and two, as discussions are happening that probably shouldn't be happening, and everyone knows the source of the spell. So just
Okay, fine.
no, you committed that you're keeping it up. Just know that that is what you are getting pinged as it's going on.
No, I will drop it. Or once I start getting the looks, I will drop it, realizing that having had that lovely, excruciating experience again, realizing that she's not very socially perceptive, will say, Frog and I had a journey. Frog and I chatted a little bit, so I'll let her tell her stuff, but I went to Kilana, and her and I chatted for a little bit about some things that we've been investigating. In addition to, I had a very lovely dream where I may or may not have almost gone stuck, but that's fine. It was about my brother, who passed away in the war. So it was really nice to talk with him for a little bit and get some different memories, even though they're like kind of not really real, but they're real to me. And I got, like I said, these 2 books, this bag of coffee, and I can now go into people's dreams. So that's pretty cool.
I mean, that's fun. Like, Cass, when you said, I can do things, can you summon shit from nowhere and go into people's dreams? Like, you were kind of vague with things beyond moving a lantern around.
I mean, and with that, like, I'm gonna just pop Quizzle back into existence. I'll be like, squirrel. But no, I cannot do the same things other people can do. Very limited at this point in time compared to some people, and I'll be looking directly at Nori, who's just talking about jumping into people's dreams randomly. But no, my skills are a little less adept, let's say.
I mean, that's a shame. Imagine the fun you could have just going
Yeah,
on.
don't give her ideas, please. Like, as soon as I leave here, it's already going to be such a hot mess trying to keep certain people in line. I'm gonna smile and wave at Frog and be like, not you.
Yeah, I just kind of tagged along with Nori, but I did go to a separate area of the druid space. And then that's kind of where she'll just drop it.
And can you get into people's dreams? Or, like, what can you do?
Well, I can do lots of things. I can speak in your brain if you want me to do that.
No,
And
that
then
sounds
she'll just...
extremely uncomfortable.
Oh, before he says that, she'll just, like, already be speaking in his brain and be like, see? Just like this. How do you think of this?
This is extremely uncomfortable. Please stop. I don't like this. This is bad.
Okay.
I know, right? Isn't it just weird?
Yeah. Like, how do you get in there? Like, there's no space in there for you. How are you in there?
I mean, Beirut, are you sure? I feel like there's some space in there.
He doesn't have a comeback that he's going to say in front of the others, but you get a look that you've gotten several times before.
Yeah. Be like, deserved, understood.
And unless there's anything else people want to share, the night just goes on with all of you kind of catching up and having a time before retiring back to the house where Cass is prepared little side rooms for all of you. Do you think, Cass, you asked the people to come back tomorrow, or do you think the 3 of you, plus maybe Beirut, maybe not, will finish up the house over the week?
I think we'll finish the house over the week. Beirut will just sort of discuss, like, he'll sort of just stop by on and off if he has time. He does have other obligations Cass knows about at this point.
Yeah, like now it's like back to the week and people have jobs.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to be a little bit more packed to a certain extent. So we'll sort of expect him to pop in, but the 3 of us will handle the rest of the general cleanup. And Cass is expecting most of this to happen specifically on his side. So just getting ready for that, knowing that Nori and Frog seem to have had a bit of a time. So he's going to leave them alone.
Yeah. And that week passes with kind of the 3 of you and Archimedes spending time together. Frog, if there's at any point in that week you feel like you would tell them what was going on, you have time to, or if you think it's something that you'll save for later, that's also something you can choose to do.
At some point, Frog would have shared the information with them. Probably like at camp at night when they were resting.
Mm-hmm. And what is it that you tell them of your trip?
She would share the information about like what she learned and how like how the fire was spread and that not very many people got out, and then tell them that she kind of sent her mother on her way and she is no longer inside of her.
Nori will look a little bit more solemn, and I'll say, "Wow, Frog, that really sucks. I'm sorry that you had to go through that all by yourself, or all by yourself in the sense that you didn't have someone you trusted or knew or that was close with you there to kind of help support you in that. How do you feel about your mom kind of officially passing, so to speak, and not being connected to her in that way anymore?"
Yeah, it was really hard at first, but now I'm kind of coming to terms with it a little bit more, and I'm glad that she'll be able to finally be at rest rather than torn in two.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'll send some extra good vibes her way this evening as I am meditating.
I mean, yeah, just echoing what Nori said. If there's anything you need, or if you need to talk, feel free. Like I said, you guys have helped a lot with just sort of the general cleanup around here. And as this conversation's happening, like Cash just sort of looks around and like the cabin, not in its pristine condition like when he grew up, but it's looking a lot better at this point. And as he finishes just sort of looking around, he's like, "Well, do you have anything um of hers, like anything that you want to, in theory, like put to rest? Like there is a graveyard, which I sort of went to a few times while you guys were gone to see my parents. So if you would like to have a small ceremony, we can officially bury her if you would like. I get, obviously, her body is not here, but if you would like to have something, like, I'd be more than happy to make sure we could put something on."
Yeah, Frog really appreciates that sentiment, but will let you know that she's planning on telling her family at some point, going to Narada first, and then depending on what her siblings want, she wants to either go back to Mary's Rise to like have a proper send off, or do that in Narada with her family.
You would all know the regional map. It's not like directly on the way to the capital, but if you go slightly north, you can make it to Narada and then back to Salana pretty easily.
Well, I mean, we have a little bit of time still. We still need to reach out to, uh, we'll need to reach out to Dion and Julian as we're approaching Salana, just letting them know that the brothers will be on their way up there. But aside from that, I don't think there's much. Just as a side note, the only other thing that in the last week Cass would have done, he would have used his Ring of Sending to sort of touch base with Dion and Julian and just see if they can put a good word in regards to the trading routes that the sisters Mina and Alexandra were having, in regards to just getting the names transferred to them. Like, knowing full well that Dion is very preoccupied and Julian, for good reason, is left out of financial aspects of the ruling party. So just more of a good word and just see if there's any updates. But whatever Cass hears throughout the just gets relayed to them, just so they know, like, hey, like, it's getting worked on, and I'll continue to put good words in for you to try to get it adjusted.
And you would get like responses that like they'd look into it and stuff. Julian wouldn't be of any help, and Dion would be like of marginal help because yeah, it's the family name, but like it's not really, the finance department's not really something he's a part of, let alone his father and mother. But he'll try the best he can. You had also at one point said you wanted to have like a "you good" talk to Dion. Is that something you want to reach out about as well, or maybe at some other point?
I will. It's still on the list, but I'm going to do that on the road out of here. Just, it seems like from the conversation with Frog and just sort of how Nori has been acting over the last week, like there's some stuff that still needs to get worked through on their ends, and I want to discuss with them before I open potentially a can of worms. Like, I don't want to put Dion in a sour mood and then have all of us have to deal with it. So we'll do that a little bit, couple days from now.
Yeah. Yeah, in a couple days from now, the farmstead is built up. If you figured out what you want to do with it, it's yours to keep give to the town, give to a friend, let sit, whatever you want to do before I think you all would make your way to Narada.
Okay. And sort of like in the last like few days of the week, Cass would request Nori's help just getting some water. Like getting not like a huge pond, but getting like a small pond in the yard that's sort of well self-sustained to a certain extent.
Mhm.
And once that's there, Cass would use the last few days just realistically like plowing. What season is it actually right now?
It's like the tail end of fall.
Okay, tail end fall. So Cass would not be plowing the fields. Cass would make sure the plow is ready to go and just like sort of spend the rest of the days cleaning up the fields, getting any of the old, like very dead crops, any like rocks that may have made their way in out of there. And then sort of just touch base with everybody, make sure they didn't need anything else or something along those lines.
No, Nori's all good, but in this time she would have wanted to spend some time looking through both of the books that she got prior to us heading out.
Yeah.
Frog is ready.
Okay. And then I guess like the night before we leave, Cass would just sort of make his way or just have Beirut over just sort of like as a last conversation before we leave town again type thing. And while he's there, Cass would well actually sort of going back really quick, I just thought of something. Didn't Beirut give me 2 gifts, one to open right away that day and then one for later? Did we ever open the later one?
You hadn't. The later one was kind of implied for like when we're done with all of this, but
Okay, so it would be that this night type thing would be a good time.
Yep, tonight or when you're gone, either way.
Okay, understood. So Cass will just sort of put that into his cloak and make note of it for when we're on the road. But the last night he's here, like we'd provide a meal, and I would sort of pull him outside towards the end of the night when everyone's sort of moving. And from the gold I have left, I would give a small satchel of it containing 25 gold pieces to Beirut and be like, hey, just again, I appreciate everything, and I know I don't owe you this. I know you probably don't want it, but I want you to have it. I don't want it on me. And I think you sort of like looking back in the direction of his cabin, like you deserve to make roots here. Like this is your home. So please take this and make sure that you have a place that you want to call home. And then the second bag is a notably larger. This one contains 125 gold pieces. And this one I'm just going to hand to him, be like, this is for the town. I trust you. Like, and just sort of going to look back at the parts of town that have been renovated since Cass was last here and be like, look what you did with minimal funding. This, I know this isn't a lot, but this is a start. So take this and do with it as you think you and I would do if we were both still here. I'll be back at some point, but I have some other things sort of glancing back to Nori and Frog that I need to make sure get handled and people that make sure are taken care of before I can truly come back here and put roots in. And speaking of, I'll put my arm like around his shoulder and be like, if you wouldn't mind doing me one more favor, if you could keep an eye on the house. If just not saying to keep it in pristine condition, but don't let it get run down if possible. Use this place as a place for the younger generation to learn skills. You seem very well mannered and adept at teaching them the skills of life while you're here. So use the fields, use the house, just make it a place where my parents would have been proud while I'm
Yeah, I
gone.
can do that. So the checklist was, number 1, take the undeserved money so that I can live somewhere. Number 2, take a lot of the money to keep your house okay. And then checkpoint 3, take a lot of the money to make sure your house is okay so your house can be used as communal grounds without you doing any of the work, right?
I'm glad we're on the same page. And Cass will
He
crack a
reaches in-
smile.
Yeah, he's gonna give you like a really big appreciative hug, like joking about it, but understanding what you really mean. And then,
Yeah, and Cass will give him a lawn embrace as well, just being like, "Thank you for doing this," because Beirut will know that like the grounds and the house itself mean more to him, just sort of like being upkept than as actual property to Cass. Like the property itself is fine, but like seeing it be used for a good cause for the town, like really where they grew up, means more to Cass than the value of the land itself.
yeah. Whatever rich kid you're off to take care of, don't die in their protection. Get back here.
I'm not planning on it, but at the same time, and Cass will get sort of serious, there's no promises, fortunately. So, like I said, if I don't come back, take care of the town.
Will do. And now you have an address.
Oh, and with that, like as we're hugging, I'm gonna take his 2 mending stones and just like slide them back into his pocket. Like try to do it subtly, but like
make
if
a
he
sleight of hand
notices, sliding check. Da, da, da. A 14.
He feels the weight, but he doesn't comment on it.
Yeah. And just thank him, and then sort of see him off the property, like get him on the path going back home. And Cass will actually sit on the wall with his lantern, watching Beirut go down the road, just making sure, like, he's capable. He knows what he's doing. But Cass also just handed him a large sum of money. So just making sure he gets pretty much home safely before he goes back inside.
You watch until the lantern light no longer shows him, and he continues on his way, off into the night. And then the next morning, you all do the same. Pick up what you had and get going, with Frog leading the way to her home.
All right. Well, are you guys ready to go? Is there anything else you need before we leave? It's not a super far trek, I believe. Correct, Frog? I believe here to Narada is not super far, but
3 days.
3 days.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, does everyone have everything they need?
I
Think
think
so.
so.
So, Nori, I'm going to ask this really not wanting you to be prepared, but trying to be a good friend. And Cass's voice drops as like he gets to the good friend part. Do you have a pot to actually make coffee?
No, but I could figure it out.
Cass just, before we leave, Cass just goes inside, grabs one of the pots from the kitchen area, and just throws it to Nori, being like, here, we can just return it when we get back.
Yeah. You all get on your way. Frog leading. It doesn't take much time. Like, this area is like well maintained. It's not like there's anything big to walk through. It's the hilly section of the country. It's got a lot of flowers, Nori, that you would see, because it has several rises up here that were at one point military forts. This area saw a lot of conflict, especially between the humans, and there are a lot of patches of felfay flowers as you walk through them. But in terms of like problems that are gonna address you, nothing really comes up. And unless one of you wanted to do something on the road, or if you wanted to message Dion while y'all were walking, it's an uneventful trip to Narada.
Probably after the first night,
Mhm.
I'd start up a conversation with them, just being like, hey, I know it's been a bit of a time for some of you, and then just shoot like a understanding look to Frog. But just so you are aware, the last time I messaged Dion in a meaningful sense he was sounding pretty down. Like, I mean, even for Dion, it was pretty rough type situation. So we all have sending. I don't know, Frog, if you would want to message him, if you have a better relationship than I do, or, Cass will take a quick glance towards Nori, or Frog, maybe one of the two of us should message him. But, like, maybe we should check in on him and just make sure, like, he's doing okay. I know he's with Julian, and Julian is going to make sure he's not, like, dying, but, like, maybe it's worth a check-in. So it's like either you or I could do it, but you probably should. I mean, or you could use yours. How about this? You can use yours to call Dion, and I'll give you my ring for 5 minutes to send a message to Julian, since I'm sure you haven't talked to him in a hot second.
Yeah, Frog will send a message to Dion first and be like, "Hey, it's Frog, just checking in. We are on our way to Narada, but we'll be in Salana shortly after that."
I get a message back from him. Glad to hear you're on the way. Excited for you to get here. Do you have an address in Narada we should send invitations to, because we're moving forward with wedding planning? Excited to see you.
Frog, thinking that did not sound very excited to see me.
You don't need to roll to tell that his voice is dead. He
Yeah.
has none of the excitement you're used. I mean, he's not an excitable person, but like he has none of his typical candor.
Yeah, I'll use Cass's ring and send it. Yeah. Frog will reply and be like, that does not sound very excited. What is actually going on?
And I think he'd get back like more than we can get in a short message. Are you all at a spot that we could just send like a conversation circle to? We could just pretend like we're all in the same room. Are you all in a spot you can do that?
Yes. Are we?
Gaz just looks back as we're walking through the wilderness, being like, "Tonight, wait, just like later tonight when we're sitting down."
Okay, Frog will respond and say, "Not quite yet. We will be later tonight. We'll use Nori's ring to contact you when we're ready."
Okay, and then just make sure you're all sitting in like a small enough area, and we'll cast it. We'll bring you in, and we could like all see each other, even if we're not in the same room. It'll be good to see you. Like on that one, he does perk up a bit more.
Okay. All right, Frog will give Cass his ring back and tell Nori not to use hers because we will need it later tonight.
Aw, man, I was thinking of sending something to somebody later, but I guess there's this one time.
All right. Well, I mean, we still have a little bit of a trek in front of us, so why don't we get maybe to like the clearing or like to the edge of the upcoming forest up there and set up camp for the night, and then we can get that message out to him.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Frog will tell Archimedes to hop ahead and look for a good spot.
Yeah, Archimedes runs off. I am the wilderness survival frog. I will find the wilderness survival. And just hops very far ahead of you. You don't see it. Like after like 5 minutes, he's gone so far that you can't see where he's at, but you would know if something happened. You'd feel it.
I'm assuming that nothing else happens on the travel then until night.
Yeah, it's like it's an easy paved trail that people take. It's not hard to traverse. It's not hard to get through safely. So if no one's doing anything that would actively cause the rest of you harm or causing a problem, yeah, you make it. Archimedes will have found a campsite that like very clearly was somebody else's site, but he's claiming he found it for you all. It even has like a 2-day-old fire that was put out. There's no way he made it, but he's confident that he found it and he is the one that made it. But yeah, you all find a clearing. Easy enough to set up tents and things in. the first time in a while, you'd have to actually sleep on the road.
Nori will cast Lemoon's tiny hut for us, so that way we can have at least like some covering from the outside.
And sort of seeing this for the first time, like Cass will be just sort of like sitting there watching Nori like do her work, like not in awe, but just sort of impressed. Like it's not like an easy thing to do. Like Cass has at least some general understanding of magic now, so he just sort of sits back and like sort of admires like the work she's doing. Is like, oh, like this is pretty impressive, and won't directly tell her that, but sort of like is thinking it to himself and sort of asks Nori if there's anything you need help with, or is this just a one-man show and you're just sort of covering it?
I need silence.
Okay,
And then we'll just look at Cass and say, no, I don't need anything.
And as soon as she said she needs silence, I'm just going to my legs will just disappear and Cass will slowly just start to float away. Just not very far or very quick, but just slowly just start floating away into the distance.
Yeah. So Frog, you just see a magical hut appear, and then Cass float away until the hut's finished appearing. And Nori, what does your tiny hut look like on the inside?
On the inside, there is a little fireplace in the back corner that has an active crackling fire going, and her coffee pot next to it, with the coffee grounds secured to the fireplace by bolts and chains, so Cass cannot try and take the bag of coffee. And then there's 3 separate cots for each of us, and one very soft and fluffy bed that says Archimedes on the very bottom of it.
Nice. Yeah. Beautifully set up. We'll say that you do that after the call, just because spells cannot penetrate, and if you leave, it goes away. So either you can recast it, or you can have foresight and wait until after your call to cast it. What do you think?
I think I will opt for the foresight.
Yep.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Yeah, so that's how you'll end your night. But before you do you use the last ring of the day to contact the princes and let them know you're ready to talk?
Yes.
Okay, what do you say?
I'll say, hi Dion, we are settled in our campsite and we are ready to talk.
And you just see like very much that color of like Julian's magic appears like a circle on the floor that kind of like stretches out to like be the size of like where a person could fit in it. And if you walk into it, you would move into like a space very much like what Nori will be casting, of like just an extra dimensional space where you can all communicate with each other.
Nice.
Who would go first?
Before we jump in, is it the standard color of Dion's magic? Does it look any different?
Magic. It's just like it's not Dion thing. This is
Julian. Okay, sorry, misheard you.
Yep.
Before Frog will go in first, but she will pick up Archimedes to bring with.
Okay. Cool. So you enter first, holding Archimedes. You see like them sitting together, very much the way that they did at like it. The room itself is kind of recreating the room you all stayed in, like the guest suite, with like the living room in the middle, the kitchenette off to the side, like with the wine. You're not sure if they're actually in the guest suite or if Julian has just sculpted it to be a familiar room or anything. But like sitting very much where like Dion is sitting on a chair and Julian's sitting like cross-legged on the floor underneath him, like with his head just kind of leaning back on him. And they walk in and Dion looks up and just kind of like acknowledges you, and Julian looks and goes, "Frog found a frog? You got a new little playmate there?"
Yes, and Frog will hold Archimedes forward and just say, "Archimedes.
I am the king of all frogs."
It's a long story, Julian. In person for sure. We will go over this in depth, I promise.
I like that the image is you just step in knowing, because the first thing you say upon entry is, "It's a long story."
Well, I'm imagining I'm walking in and
Mhm.
I just see I just see Frog. I'm like holding Frog King like this, just up into nothingness.
Yep. And Nori, as you enter, anything you do?
No, just nonchalantly enter, waiting for the conversation to partake.
Yeah, and it's like very much like I said, that suite you all stayed in, so enough chairs for all of you. If you want to stand, you can. If you want to go get some wine from the cabinets, you can. Just a little recreation of the suite. And they look up and Julian's like, yeah, so we'd love to just talk about how things are going with you all, but it kind of seems like the stress of the world sucks a little bit.
For us or for you?
Kind of for everyone. Like, you all don't look great, and like clearly we're not great, and like you all talk a lot to us, so like it's not that hard to pick up on. But also, if we're picking up on it solely from voice, that's not great for the public image.
Yeah, some of us have had it better than others, for sure. But why don't we start with you guys and just sort of look to Nori and Frog, make sure they're fine with that approach.
Yeah, Frog does not really want to share anything that she's got going on because she doesn't want to add to it, so.
Nori will just nod.
Anything you want to start with? Anything you want to know about what's been going on? And Deanna like, just looks at all of you. It's like the first thing he said since any of you have entered.
Well, I mean, I feel like, and again, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, you've seemed out of sorts. More than most of us have. I mean this in a polite way. Please don't take offense. But for my last few very brief 20-word conversations with you, you've seemed like you've had a lot on your mind, which sort of is what sparked these recent conversations with you and Julian.
Yeah, having the entire foundational system you grew up believing in and being told you will be the head of one day being indicated to be a problematic lie that continues to be undermined every day that you find out new information would kind of do that to someone. But we're getting married. Hooray! And Julian,
Does Julian react to
Julian's
that?
used to the tone and knows it's not the like actual feeling about it, and like Julian like has his head on it, like will move his arm up and like rest his arm on his leg and just kind of like grip it a bit. He looks down and goes, I know it's not gonna be a real marriage, but like I still don't like the fact that we have to have a church wedding.
Okay, first off, it's a really sad day. I'm just going to point out to all of you when I, like pointing to the massive bags under my eyes at this point, am the happiest person in this group. Aside from this ball of terror and funness next to me that has had 3 cups of coffee today. So,
Frog will silently, without saying anything, just point at Archimedes.
Yeah, is that a humble brag cast, or what's the point of that? I'm glad you're having a good day.
I don't think I'm having a good day, but we need to find a way for all of us to decompress. You two especially, because I'm not a man of religion or ceremonies, but a wedding is a big deal, and your guys' wedding is an especially big deal, and you two should be the happiest people about it. I understand that there is stress outside of it for both of you, but you two really should be able to enjoy this time. So
we're gonna be happy for what our actual wedding is. We're just not considering this political demonstration a wedding.
So are you guys going to have your own wedding then? I know what you're saying.
Once we find someone to do it, we will.
Well,
Okay.
and And with this, can they see us or can they just hear us?
But you are all like metaphysically in a room together.
And Cass is just going to sort of smirk at that and be like, so, do you care who it is? Like, do you have a preference on who would do the ceremony?
I mean, we have a selection of people we'd want it to not be.
And with that, Cass is just going to smirk and be like, well, I know someone that I'm pretty sure has the ability to marry people.
Why are you looking at me? You think that these two very lovely men want me to marry them? I would be more than happy. However, it is their decision.
I'm just offering your services for you.
I appreciate it. However, they're very stressed, and I don't think they need a Nori right now, unless that's what you guys want. Totally up to you.
Julian perks up. I wouldn't mind Nori being the officiant. I mean, you're probably the furthest removed from the people that are putting this all together, and while it clearly wouldn't go right, I don't imagine it can go wrong enough that it wouldn't be effective. And Deanne will go, yeah, honestly, like, I've never, you all know this, this is going to sound sad. It's not meant to sound sad. It's going to. Don't comment on it. I'm not someone that has friends. Like, I have a lot of people that like me, but, like, you don't grow up as the heir to the throne, getting friends, and then you do have a childhood friend, and then you date her for a while, and then she breaks up with you because you don't really care about her, and then she gets jealous and goes to your husband's concerts and kind of says, yo, you suck and no one will ever love you. And that's kind of how things happen. But like the week and a half that we spent together was a lot of fun. So if you all were the wedding, that'd be fine.
Frog, upon hearing this, will just like break the tension with, so what I'm hearing is that we can host your bachelor party too.
Yeah, I think Dion would respond first to you, Frog. I don't know. That was never something I was planning to have done. I'm not even sure what that would look like. Normally, the weeks leading up to the wedding are reserved for training in how to make it look good and how to do what you're supposed to do. But if we're having Nori officiate an unofficial on the side one, I suppose there's nothing that needs to be trained for.
It's okay. You don't need to know what it looks like anyway, because we take care of that.
That's honestly more terrifying.
Well, exactly. So it'll just be like a ton of fun, and we can plan all the things, and you guys just get to be the recipients of it. I think Frog would throw a great bachelor party, and Cass and I will just be the little sprinkles on top.
Would it make you?
Oh, go ahead.
Would it make you feel any better if I supervise to make sure nothing too irresponsible is planned?
Considering the last time we hung out casually, you did a bunch of drugs, making that one think she was an actual frog playing Supreme Frog Leapfrog. I'm not sure our conditions of responsible align, so no. And then Julian will say, but for the record, I think it'd be a good idea. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I see no problems with the surprise. Frog, I'm all for it.
Frog will just give a little thumbs up towards Julian and pretend, like, try to make it so that Dion can't see it.
Well, I think that sounds great to me, and I'm so excited to get started on your unofficial but yet official vows to work on together. It'll be lovely. Tell me what you're thinking whenever you have a moment, but I am so excited.
Yeah. How long is it until you're here? Did you all have a timeline?
Well, I know we're closing in on Frog's family or their new residence. So Frog, I think you have the best idea of how long you'd like to spend there.
Probably just a few days. Maybe like
Well,
3 or
don't-
4.
Yeah, and don't feel rushed. Like I was about to say, it's like if you it's you're there for an important reason. So like, don't feel like you need to rush through this. Like, you take the time you need.
Yeah. Frog would still probably take just like 4 days maybe.
Okay, and how far are you out from there currently?
I think only another day or two, right?
Okay. So I imagine in a week you'd be here then? A day to get there, 4 days there, 3 days to get here.
Yeah.
Sure.
Nori, your confidence is always disheartening. But yeah, we can write vows in a week. That'll be fun. It'll be good to have something for us. Even if no one's gonna recognize it. But I think that makes it even better. And then Julian, who is always like sitting on the floor, is gonna like again grab his leg and like tighten it up a bit. Yeah. And you guys are my friends. And if you're my friends, you're Dee's friends. And we're gonna have a good time. As long as you don't get us killed. Because if we die before the party, not the party, the wedding, which is not gonna be a party. If we die before the wedding, that's bad. So, nothing that'll do that. But I think everything else is on the table because I have full trust in Cass to understand the assignment.
Frog will roll her eyes.
Cass just smugly smiles and he's like, I know. But that being said, the only other thing as of right now that I would sort of like to know, aside from the small group here, is there anyone you unofficially would like to have there? We don't need an answer right now. We can reach out to you in the coming days, just sort of keep touch base with you, but just something to think about, just because, again, this is more for you guys. So if there is anyone else that you would like to have there, just let us know.
Okay. Kind of see them look between each other, recognizing the fact that neither of them really has an external support system. But they'll think about it, and they'll let you know if anyone comes to mind.
I think that sounds great. And Nori's gonna go make a cup of coffee.
Yes. Nice. If you all wanted to, you could just spend some time with them in this room. It doesn't seem like Julian has a time limit of how long he can keep it up for, but you are also somewhere in the void between time and space, waiting to set up a campsite. So it depends how long you'd want to wait before sundown to get yourselves really going.
I think, yeah, I would work on continuing the conversation, like as much as without making it awkward. Like if Dion wants to discuss anything, like let him, but sort of give him the freedom to, if he's uncomfortable, just sort of back away. And Frog, are you in the same boat, or are you just gonna be like, so what's wrong?
Frog will be like really focused on, like, in her own little world, on planning this bachelor party, like in her head, and you can see her like counting on her fingers, like, you know, like presumably like deciding what meals they should have and like all this stuff, because she doesn't want to like outwardly address Dion and his sadness, but she is trying to think of like what would make him the happiest for her to do.
Chiming in with an idea, Nori will take her coffee and say, I think we should make sure we have extra cups of coffee at the wedding and at the bachelor party, because coffee always makes me happy, so I know it'll make you happy.
And we are also going to make sure that you do not have any coffee before the wedding to avoid this whole scenario.
That would be much appreciated. Nori, I have full faith in your cleric abilities, but we've seen you enough.
Also, and as Dion finishes that, Cass is just gonna go over in Nora's ear and be like, now you need to remember to prepare that goddamn spell the night of the wedding. If you don't prepare it, this is gonna be really awkward for everyone involved.
What? And Nori will lean over to him and say, What spell?
Cass is just gonna grip his cloak a little bit and be like, "How do I know your spells better than you?
And
How
Nori's
is this
just gonna like
possible?"
go around and like skip around a little bit and be like da da da, second cup of coffee, da 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 da.
All right.
Julian will
Well,
look over at all of you, like, she is aware we're all going to bed in like 20 minutes, right? Nori, have you
no.
considered that fact in any capacity?
I will be fine. Don't worry about it. I appreciate the concern though, but I'll be fine.
I'm less concerned for you and more concerned for the others around you. But hey, if you're ready for it, I'm not seeing you for a week.
Every day, and with that, be like, yeah, every day. This is roughly it. And that being said, I don't want to cut this short by any means, but you guys sound like you guys are getting ready for bed. We still need to prepare the campsite. I need to deal with someone that's cracked out on coffee, and another one who's going to be focused on a bachelor party all night. So, that being said, I'm going to take my leave, but you guys can continue the conversation. And with that, I'll sort of get up and just start getting stuff ready.
Yeah, you're easily like getting stuff ready at the campsite or where?
Yeah, like a little bit away from where they are, just where we're gonna set up
Yeah, that
specifically.
same like door that appeared that you all walked through. You're able to go back out and do camp things. Nor
I
your
will
frog,
give-
anything else you would? Yep.
I'll give the same sort of message and then follow Cass, just so that way I can go and annoy him a little bit more before going to bed in our Limoon's tiny hut.
Okay.
Yeah, Frog will kind of say goodbye with the same message and then blow a kiss to both of them.
You get one back. Dion's is like not really there. Like Julian does a full show, and Dion just kind of like waves at you and like okay, I'll see ya. You also like see without having to roll for it, like that same concerned spark of like hope from when you met with him one-on-one, where he kind of told you things are bad, but maybe you can make it better. He didn't have it when you walked in. Now he seems to have a bit more of like, things are bad, but like at least people are on our side and people that like at least one of us. Yeah, I don't know if he thinks any of you really like him, but he knows you like Julian. You see that in his eye as he waves to you. And with that, I think we will wrap up for tonight. Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, players, for playing. We are Help Action Needed. You can find us all across the internet, specifically on Instagram and Threads, and email us at helpactionneeded@gmail.com. And it's going to be a fun time. Hooray! Thank you all for playing. Thank you for listening. And as always, goodbye. Hey everyone, Editing Sean here. This episode will be our last mainstream episode for the year, as the next release will be a little holiday special. If you want to watch it live with everyone, it'll be premiering on Twitch on December 22nd, or if you want to just listen to it in your typical podcast format, you can find it right here when it releases in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, all of you, for making our first year as a show an amazing start to production, and we love every single one of you. It truly means so much, and I am so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you, and as always, goodbye.